Hey, Jean. Hey, Goldie. Thank you guys for joining. It's funny. I'm waiting for my co-host to join. I'm going to get through this. Thank you. I thought I was going to... I started a new job today, and I thought that I was going to just be sitting here all glammed up, and honestly I got home, I was so exhausted. I took a shower and I'm like, they're gonna get what they get, and this is what you guys are getting today. I am just exhausted. Hi Elemental Notes, thank you for joining, girl. Thank you ladies for the support. I'm waiting for my co-host to join, and then I don't know why she's unable to join. So let me see. My co-host is trying to join and she is unable to join. So hi ladies, hello everyone. Thank you all for the support. I am going to get through this. I know I am. So let's see, I'm going to try to invite my co-host again. Hello. 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 Hi everyone. We're going to get started shortly. It's been a long few days. It's been a long day today. I don't know why she can't. Okay, so my, hey Kemba. So my co-host is going to join soon. I figured I would have someone interview me for this because as those of you who have followed Rob and I's journey can imagine, or those who know me personally, this is not an easy time. Yeah, that's just it's not an easy time. And so I figured if someone asked me questions or all of you ask me questions, I am going to be as open and candid as I possibly can. That's one thing we've never held back on, is being candid. So ask any question you want. I can choose not to answer or not. But yeah, this is kind of my new life, my new existence. It's not what I planned for myself, but you'll hear more, and the support is amazing. I'll talk about what I envision the show to look like now that I am on my own. I can update everybody when she comes on about kind of where my life has been since coming to back home to Toronto, where I now am, and all the things that are happening there. And yeah, so give it a couple of minutes. I haven't cried yet, but I know talking about it I might. I was gonna get up and get tissue, but I don't know. It's interesting when I'll talk more about it, but it's interesting when your head is in one place and your heart is in another. And I was explaining to, someone basically said to me, the show's title is kind of coming back to bite me in the ass because you have a show called Fuck Your Feelings. And I was like, no, it's not, because my head knows it's time to go and my heart doesn't want to. That's the definition of Fuck Your Feelings. It's not what my heart wants to do, right? It's about the logic of the fact that us being together didn't make sense anymore, and we'll talk more about that. But this is Fuck Your Feelings to the T. My heart hurts. My heart hurts. It feels heavy, and I've had to walk through the last few days with that and having to be strong. I started a new job today. I had to go into the office for the first time in a long time, and I have my own business, and I still have shows to run, and I still have all of that stuff. and I'm going through that, and my heart hurts, but my head is good. My head knows what we decided to do was right, but I'm waiting for my heart and my head to catch up. So bear with me, everyone, as we go through this. And I talk about what life post breakup is, I guess, supposed to look like. I don't even know. I don't even know what that's supposed to look like. So you guys just be patient with me. I'm actually going to go grab some tissue. In the event the questions that I'm asked are a little difficult, but I will answer them because I think Rob and I put our relationship out there for everyone. So what does it look like not putting our breakup out there to maybe will help someone? If my journey helps any of you that are watching, it was well worth it, right? And let's be clear, this is never going to be a Rob bashing session. I love that man with my whole heart and soul. We just can't be together. And again, we'll get more into kind of why that is in a moment. But you can love someone and they still not be right for you, and then someone can be right for you and you don't love them. So trying to navigate this relationship landscape is not easy. We were as committed to our commitment as we could have been until life got in the way. So give me a few minutes. If my co-host doesn't come on, I'm just going to tell the story because I thought she would be coming on. But yeah, does anybody have any questions? I'm happy to answer questions in the chat before she comes on. Again, I'm an open book. I've been an open book since we started this show almost 2 years ago. You guys have, for those of you who have been with us since the beginning, you guys have watched us talk about pretty much everything. And like I said, it doesn't make sense that I don't also talk about the breakup, the transition, what led up to, if people are curious what led up to this decision, which was not easy. It's a very mature breakup. It's as mature as I've experienced in my 43 years of ending relationships. God, that's a good question. I think the next person I get into a relationship will benefit from how much I loved Rob. And I mean, there's a better way for me putting that. But let's just say the next man that I get with, I'm not bringing baggage because again, there was no drama in terms of our breakup. I think in this relationship with Rob, I loved him in a way I've never loved another man. And I'm going to cherish that, and I'm going to love the next man even more. And it's generally the opposite, right? You get into a relationship and, you bring a lot of baggage into the next one. But the relationship I had with Rob was so loving and it was pure. And I loved him with my whole heart. I still love him I shouldn't say in past it, I still love him with my whole heart. And once my heart heals and I'm able to receive another person in it, I'm going to love them even more. Because I do believe in the power of love. And I think this relationship taught me about the power of love and how powerful it is. However, getting to Anne Jean's question, love wasn't enough, clearly, to keep us together. What was the breaking point? I don't know if we would call it a breaking point. I think there was a realization moment. Sorry, guys, this is my co-host. There was a realization moment um, for the both of us that the direction, as Rob said it, the direction that my life was going. Hold on, I'm trying to. Okay, my co-host is going to join. The direction that my life was going wasn't congruent with where his life was going, and what I wanted for my life didn't quite sync up with the things that he needed to focus with his life.
Hi.
Um,
Oh,
yep.
oh,
Give us a second.
How do
So
I turn the camera around?
turn the
Oh, there we go.
this little thing that will turn it around. So
There, there we go.
hi everyone. Introduce yourself. Thank you everybody who's joining. Cass is here, so she can now ask me questions because I am struggling.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra, and I'd like to apologize for my tardiness. I live in Brampton, so I don't know if you guys know, but traffic on Beauvais was horrible. They've closed down one half of the lanes. So, you know, you have all of that traffic congested into one, you know, one laneway. So, yeah, that's why I'm late. So I'm sorry.
Okay. We were just having a quick chat, and I told everyone, I'm sure you will have a conversation, you will have questions, but I told everyone to clearly ask questions in the chat as well. So Cass, I mean, Cass knows me personally, everyone. We are friends. She has had a front seat to the relationship with Rob and I, so I'm going to get really comfortable. She's had a front seat to the relationship with Rob and I, so I thought she'd be kind of a really good person. She supported our show. She supported all of my endeavors and my books and so forth. So I said, why not have Cass talk about this? So Cass, go ahead.
Yeah. My pleasure. So I don't know how much you've been able to cover, but my first question, and I mean, answer as much as you want because it's, you know, personal, it's your life. But, you know, why did you and Rob finally call it quits?
So yeah, that was funny enough, the question I was answering. God. It's you know what's so funny? It's I hear the word quits and I'm like, this is almost surreal, right? Like this moment for me is surreal. I had a wedding date planned. I had a wedding dress picked out. Like there was just so much. This was not supposed to be our end, but it is. Again, let me start going back. If you guys don't know, I am the mother of one. I have a 21-year-old daughter. So I have a grown child. So my daughter is very grown. And there was a lot of, you know, my life that I put on hold when my daughter was younger to raise her. My daughter is, you know, a competitive dancer. She's played AAU basketball. She's been all across the country and the US kind of dancing and doing stuff. So I put a lot of, you know, as a 21-year-old mother, I put a lot of my life on hold to raise my daughter. Rob has 4 children, all minor children. And where I'm at the end, he's still in the process of raising children. And I walked into this thinking that I would be ready to take on the role of being his helpmate with that. But if I'm honest with myself, because like I said, I'm never going to say anything bad about Rob. He's an amazing man. I wasn't prepared for that. And a lot of Rob's past was creeping into our present, and I knew that it would continue into our future. And I'm a fairly unproblematic woman, actually, very. A lot of the men that I've dated will tell you I'm not a problematic woman. And Rob's past relationships were creeping into our relationship. And there were things from his past that really started to impact me. I won't go into too much stories, but let's just say it got to the point where that was overwhelming, and the life path that I wanted couldn't happen. And I think Rob was honest enough with himself when we had the conversation to say that it's unfair of him to ask me to continue to walk this journey with him when there was so much he still needed to wrap up from his past. I mean, I can read the text messages too. No, actually, I can't. I deleted all.
No.
I didn't want to relive. I didn't want to be the person who keeps reliving these text messages over and over. So I ended up deleting them. But I think he did the very mature thing of saying, you know, his life path. He needed to focus, and I agreed with him on being a dad, and that couldn't include really fully putting me first and focusing on being my future husband. And I respected that. I respected that he didn't fight for me. And I know a lot of people might find that weird. When I said to him that maybe I need to bow out of the relationship so that he can focus on the things that I think are necessary for him. I've done the parental journey. I know how important that role is. If he had fought for me, I would have stayed. I love that man with my whole heart and soul. And even though it would have been a hard fight, because again, the things I've been through with some of the women in Rob's life, let's just say I've literally been stalked by one of them on Instagram. I've had to block her on everything. She found an email and she emailed me ridiculous things. Like I've been cursed out by a woman in his life. Like it's not been the best experience for someone who is very unproblematic. I'm not the woman to curse you out or text you, or you know, whenever those things happen, I would just say, Rob, this is this, please deal with that. Because I was raised well. Like, I was raised to have a level of respect for people, and I've also learned in my life not to give away my power to someone else, but there's only so much of that before it starts to really impact the relationship. So I'm giving you a long answer, but I mean, unraveling this relationship wasn't something that happened overnight. I know that there were people who thought that, you know, the moment I came back to Canada, to Toronto specifically, that the relationship was over, and it wasn't. That, you know, I needed to leave for many reasons, including the fact that, you know, once my father passed away, I needed to be home at where my base was. I needed that support. And Rob couldn't be my end all be all because he had his own things to deal with. So it wasn't the distance that actually broke us up. It was the reality that our life paths, just where I was going and where he was going, it was kind of looking this way as opposed to this way. So there was no cheating. Just be clear, there was no cheating. There was no any of that. There was none of that. It was before we got married. I would have rather this happened before we walk down the aisle, and then we have to dissolve a marriage. So, yeah.
So, okay, we have a question
Ah!
from the viewers. Did Rob ever talk to his baby mothers?
How do you, you know how they say don't negotiate with terrorists?
Yes.
That's that's a, that's the best answer I have without without you don't negotiate with terrorists, right? Like I think there is so much one can do to control someone else's behavior. And I think he tried to insulate me as much as he could, and I give him mad respect and props for that. He did try, but when you're dealing with people, I think, who are unreasonable, and I think there was, when we started this show, there was a lot of clapback on Roberts, and where people were messaging him to the effect of, you treat her better than you've treated anybody else, and there was just all of this like, why is she getting this, and that type of thing. And it wasn't that he treated me better than he treated anybody else. He was responding to what I gave him.
That's right.
That's all.
Right. Yeah.
All he was doing. He responded to the love and the attention and the care that I had given him, and he was giving it back to me, because that's how this works, right? If I'm not giving him strife, he's not going to give me, you know what I'm saying? Why would he give me strife? He's going to treat me just the way I treated him. But again, when you've got people with unhealthy mindsets, because I'm going to not say anything negative about him, because he is, they are the mother of his children, and I love him. So I don't want to talk negatively, but they just say, when you have an unhealthy mindset, trying to negotiate with people with unhealthy mindsets, it's a waste of time.
So, okay, do you think that when you came back and he saw how quickly you just bam, 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 put everything together, like in what, 2 months, do you think that it made him feel, less of a man?
I think that's a question for Robert. I'm not, that's definitely a question for Robert. What I will say is, for those of you who do not know, I 100% took care of a lot of Robert's needs, wants, and desires, right? I handled Robert's professional life, and I was clearly part of his personal life. So whenever Rob got a new job, it was because of the work that I had done. So I had redid Rob's resume, I created an email in Rob's name, I applied for all of the jobs for Rob, I communicated with hiring managers. The only thing Rob ever did was show up for an interview. I did all of the research for the company. I gave him all of the notes. I wrote down the questions he would probably be asked. I wrote down the questions that he would be asked. I researched all of the interviewers. If it was, if it was an in-person interview, I wrote them the address, and you know what I'm saying? Like I managed a lot of that for him. And in addition, personally, taking care of him, cooking, cleaning, the basics, right? Like I'm a woman. To me, that's kind of basic. I ironed Rob's, clothes the day before work, made sure I woke up and got him breakfast while I was in. And to be clear, for people who think I didn't work, I do work. Like, there are people who are like, well, she can do that because she doesn't work. I do work. I've actually always worked. I'm an advisor. I've actually just started a new job, so I'm also advising. I've got 7 books. I have 2 shows. I do all of the editing and content creation, and I'm still a mother at the end of the day, right? I still have to maintain my daughter. So I did all of this and worked. And I definitely think that when I left and came back home, Rob did kind of have the realization, like, damn, like this is a piece of me is is gone because I
Gone.
managed so much of his
Yeah.
life and day to day. I would put reminders in his calendar, right? Like there was just a lot of stuff that I did to that respect. So I know that that piece was missing. I don't know how it made him feel, other than the fact that he said to me like a piece of me is missing, and he was overwhelmed because he started to realize the amount of things that I did. In addition to, let me not forget, I was helping him raise his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a teenage daughter. So I was also mom and made sure she did her homework and, report cards. I showed up for parent teacher stuff. I did her hair. Like I took care of the house and his child, not my child. And so I was restarting this whole parenting thing again after I had been done with my own parenting. So I left, and then he was left to do all of that by himself.
So when, you guys were, going through it, and, situations for yourself were coming up where you might have felt it's not bringing you peace, did you guys have conversations? Like when you look back, do you think that if you guys did any one or two things that, you'd be together still?
God, that's such a good question. And you said that word peace. That was something that I said to him. There's nothing more than I desire than peace. I am the person who meditates every day, works out, drinks water, and minds my business, right? So, I've gotten to a certain space as a 43-year-old woman that I don't, it's like drama, like remove itself from me, right? Like it's not anything that I want. So I remember we did have a recent conversation where one of his ex, after me blocking her on various social media, still found a loophole and emailed me. Just complete utter nonsense. She emailed to me. And I sent it to him and I said, there's nothing more than I desire than peace. And these women in your life are disrupting my peace. And I can't have that. Right? Like manage them or something, but like I'm in an entirely new country, like having to rebuild my own life. And I said, I'm completely at peace. And the disruption to my peace are these people in your past who seem to then still have this huge presence in your present. I can't change the women he decided to procreate with.
That's right.
Right? I can't, that's already said and done, right? That was a choice he made or whatever. So I can't change that. So, he told me I hung in, he said, in his text message, he said, you did better than any woman could have ever done, considering the existence and the state of.
Right, because you were committed to the commitment, right?
I was committed to the commitment. And so even through the drama, being cursed out, one of the women had taken my picture from my Instagram and blasted it all over her own Instagram. It was wild, right? Like randomly showed up at our house. It was wild. Again, another woman in his life cursed me out like that. And I just never responded. It was just like, I'm not gonna allow them to seep into my own energy, but it started to put a strain on the actual relationship because your past isn't tidy. And when is it going to become tidy?
Right.
And the reality is you still have these young children to raise. And let's be like, I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't want to devote another 14, 15 years of my life to raising children. I've devoted 21, almost 22 years, right? Like I'm not raising children into my late 50s and early 60s. Like I got to the point where I was like, I should be on a boat shaking my ass in Bali, right? Like I'm done. My daughter is graduating in October. I've done my part, right? Like I got her through school. I got her an education, and hallelujah, she ain't pregnant. Like I am celebrating, right? Like, I am like, whoop, and she's on the dean's list. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she's just doing the most. I'm like, he has four, right?
Mm-hmm.
And young kids. And then, and not only, and again, you can take the kids, but now you're taking the kids with the problematic women,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And again, as you know, yes, there are people saying, "What as a man he needs to do," blah blah blah. You know, say that all you want, but again, you don't negotiate with terrorists,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
they're going to do what it is that they're going to do, and I either stay in the mess or move myself out of the
Mm-hmm.
situation and allow him to focus on his children, which is
Right.
where his
Well,
focus needs to be, not on me, on his
right.
children.
Well, the only person that we can
Right?
control is ourselves.
Yeah,
We can't control anybody else. We can't control the environment to, to an extent, but you only have control over you. So,
that's
yeah.
all I could do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, it's, again, like I said, I had to come to the realization with, it's funny because if it was a situation where I could have had reasonable conversations with these women, we could have sat down and talked about what was best for these
Right.
children as adults and mapped out a plan where
Right.
there was involvement in what this looked like. It's
Exactly.
very likely we would still be together, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's I grew up in a very mature space. Like, just to give some people some backgrounds, I am the product of an affair. My mother and father had an affair 40 something years ago. My stepmother, my father's wife, raised me until she left Jamaica. I, for years, did not know that woman was not my biological mother.
Oh,
I was
wow.
5 or 6 years old when I found out that my mom wasn't really my mom. I had a completely different mom, right?
Wow.
And I am 43 and I still speak to this woman. I still call her mom. My
Mm-hmm.
father passed away. My father passed away last September. My mother, biological mother, and mother that raised me, shared a room at my
Wow.
father's funeral. They actually speak more than I speak.
That
And
is
so
amazing. That's beautiful.
despite my chaotic entrance into the world, I saw
Mm-hmm.
two women who put their feelings to the side for the love of me. And
Mm-hmm.
what wasn't even about my father, right? For the
Mm-hmm.
love of what was best for me. And
Yeah.
somewhere in my crazy mind, I thought that in 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
This happened in 79, right? 78, 79. I thought that we had evolved as women, that that could
Mm-hmm.
be a situation, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't. And so
Mm-hmm.
again, the more I realized that, the more I was like, this is a battle I'm going to lose all the time, because I'm not
Right.
the mother of any of his children. You know what I'm saying? And again,
Mm-hmm.
he's a single father and he's raising one of his children and fighting for custody of another. And it just was, even in the custody papers, there were terrible things being said about me. These people don't even know me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they used his
Yeah.
relationship with me to. It was just. It was just terrible. And I did as much as I could, and then I got to the point where I'm like, what's the outcome of this really? Like, I've
Mm-hmm.
been divorced. I do not want
Mm-hmm.
to get another divorce. I did not go into my first marriage thinking I was
Right.
getting divorced. I went into my first marriage, and my first husband had 3 babies on me. Well,
Mm-hmm.
one I know for sure, because the DNA test proved that she was. And I took that baby in because someone took me in, until I got an
Mm-hmm.
email from another woman who said, your husband's your husband may be the father of my twins. I
Wow.
said, okay, so you're just out there slinging D,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, this is now getting ridiculous. I'm not raising 3 outside
Mm-hmm.
babies. You already had one, right? Like, and
Right.
so I walked away from that marriage, not because I just, what am I fighting for, right? Like, he's just
Mm-hmm.
out there slinging the D. And so
Mm-hmm.
marriage for me is, I take it very seriously, but I also knew that it was not going into a marriage to have this drama just to get divorced. Like, I
Right.
cannot have another divorce under my belt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you. So what is next for, Toshiba? Like, what's the
God, that is, I'm still trying to figure that out.
plan?
Professionally, things are going really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start there, right? Professionally, I'm in a really good space. I gave myself some goals when I came back to Toronto. I've met that goals. I started an amazing new job today.
Oh, today was your first day?
It was my first day
Oh.
in the film industry, and it's an industry I've been trying to crack for a while. And of course, with the shows and the books that I have, it's almost like the perfect timing. That kind of all of this is coming together. I have another book. I'm going to write the book Fuck Your Feelings, the Journey to Imperfect Love. So I'm still working on that. I have my other show, and I'm a business advisor. So professionally, things are moving. Like I am going in a space that it's kind of go, 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 go. Personally, I'm waiting for my head and my heart to get to the same place.
Right.
So my head is very well aware that this, at least for this moment, is the best thing for Rob and I. My heart hurts.
Of course, of course. But you know what? You carry your composure is amazing. Like you carry your pain, well. You know what I mean? Like when I spoke to you when it all happened, I was amazed at how composed you were, you know?
And it's interesting. It's because my head knows it's the right thing. And I think that's it. And it's not, despite my love for him, right? He was going to be my forever. But again, we have a show called Fuck Your Feelings, the show. So, right, like my logic dictates that where we both are in our life, we just, as he said, we're on different journeys, and he didn't want his shit show, as he calls it, of life, to impact, the journey that he saw that, I was on, right? And I truly believe, the universe, it listens, and it does amazing things, right? Rob and I, officially ended on June the 30th, which is the end of, if you're in business, is the end of Q2. And I remember saying to Rob, like about a month or so ago, that I needed to give myself a year starting July 1st to kind of get my ducks in a row. There was a lot of things that I needed to achieve, and a lot of things that I wanted to do, and especially starting the new job and managing that and building my business and gaining new clients. Like there's just so many things that I needed to give myself that time. And maybe that was in his mind, when this decision was made. But I feel like the universe was releasing me to be able to flourish in the way that I needed to without the worries of what was kind of going on over there. I will tell you, I'm going to be I'm going to be dating differently.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you. What lessons have you learned?
I'm going to be, so you guys are going to call me crazy. I'm definitely not ready to date now. It's funny, I am not closed off to it, but I'm definitely not ready. But I'm going to be taking the show clearly in a different direction, which is being able to delve, have you as the audience delve into my personal life and my professional life. So I'll be taking you on this journey because I'm starting a new journey in my professional life, and I'm unfortunately starting a new journey in my personal life. So there's going to be more insight into what that's like. And, as I go to different things, like I said, my new job is in the film industry. So there's going to be a lot of events that I'm going to be attending, kind of things that I'm going to be doing that I can document a bit of. But when it comes to dating, I will be using a spreadsheet to date. And people think I'm crazy, but
no, it's smart.
I'm going to be using a spreadsheet that I haven't quite designed it yet, but I have the categories of my non-negotiables, my nice to have, and my must have. And I'm going to measure the men that I date based on that spreadsheet. No one's ever going to fill Robert Stevenson's shoes, literally or figuratively, right? Like, and is 6'9" and wears size 15. So like I am not looking for someone to come and fill Robert's shoes, and that would not be fair to any men that comes into my life, right? Like I need to be able to deal with the shadow of Robert and the past.
Right, you need to heal first
before bringing someone else into my life. But I am going to be very strategic about how I date, and definitely intentional. Again, like I said, I've learned a better way to love because of Robert. My love for him was all consuming. And before Robert, there was always that I'll give you enough, but not too much. And my girlfriend Joanne, made a comment to me that, listen, love comes with the daily heartbreaks, and it requires, a level of vulnerability. And I remember when I wrote my book, No Handouts for Black Girls, I talked about that need to be vulnerable, and how as, Black women, we tend to feel like we can't be vulnerable because white women have taken up the plaque of vulnerability, and we need to be strong. And Rob allowed me to just be so vulnerable in love, and as much as it hurts, I miss that. Like, I'm going to miss that. And so I'm going to take everything that I've learned from how I love him, refine it, and love someone even better.
So what were the lessons that you learned? Can you share any of those with us? Some are personal, I get it. But
no, I think here's the thing. Before I met Robert, I was very clear. I did not want a man with multiple baby mamas, and I did not want a man with young kids, because I was done raising kids. I would sing this from the rooftop. Multiple baby mamas was definitely a no for me, because I have one man who was the daughter of my daughter's father. You only have to deal with one man, and for me, you don't have to deal with him because she's a grown adult. And the whole multiple women and young kids, like, it was something that I didn't want to do. And then I met Robert, and I made an exception. I didn't change it. I just made an exception for Robert. I will not make an exception again, because I've learned, for me, the life that I desire, the life that I want, the peace that I require. I need a man whose past is tidy. Like, there are just certain things, and we're on that kind of same path of been there, done that when it comes to raising children. We have amicable relationship with our exes. Like I said, I just described the relationship that my two mothers have, right? Even despite, what my father did, right? Like, I want to be, someone that has a mature relationship with his, ex-wife. Preferably he doesn't have a baby mama, but he actually has an ex-wife. And just certain things that I would not put aside, because I know that they're just not congruent with the life that I lead and the life that I want to continue to lead. So it's definitely taught me that. It's definitely taught me that. And I think I think for me, that was one of the main lessons, because, you know, if I didn't put that aside, I wouldn't be here. But at the same time, I wouldn't have had the life that I had with him,
Right.
which was overall a good. If it was just Robert and Toshiba, it would have been a happily ever after.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Robert and all of the people around, and then all of the people around them,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just it catapulted into I think too much, definitely for me, and then it became too much for him to watch me have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, the decision was made that we should part ways because of that, despite the love.
Right.
He knows that it's going to take time to deal with all of
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm 43 years old. I love you dearly, but I don't have time to be. We were together for 2 years, 8 months, and 2 days. Like, I ain't got
Well,
another 2 years, 8 months, and 2 days in me.
well, you know what? You and Rob could be another, what's her name? Ashanti
And
and
Nelly,
Nelly. 10 years, you come back together,
I'll be
right?
53. I hope so.
But hold on,
A
you
man gonna take me off the market before then. Jesus fuck universe. Like, I ain't trying to be on this market for no
listen. Sorry, there's a fly in here. But okay, listen, when I was your age, because I'm 10 years older, I swore when I'm 50, I am not going to be single. Toshiba, at 50, I was single. I'm not single now, but at 50, I was single. So, you know, like you have your plan, but God, God has.
Listen, clearly, God in the universe, I'm a dead daddy, had I was sitting, people had a whole different plan, because here I am having this show without me, right? Like, so clearly, but again, I do believe in law of attraction, right? And I do believe,
Yes,
like, really
absolutely.
putting out there, really being intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And that I intend to be, you know, being in spaces where the type of person that I wish to attract will also be.
Yes.
You know, those are things. And again, I think, you know, I don't think it's by coincidence that everything is happening in my life the way that it's
No.
happening right now. Again, the job that I have, the industry that I have, the position that I have, the things that I do. I don't think it's by coincidence. I do think that
No.
there is a power behind that. And I'm gonna ride the wave and be open.
Yeah.
What comes. I know that there's a couple of questions I can't.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions, but I just want to add one thing. Like, what I've realized in life is that sometimes God puts you in a place where you're the helper. You're helping someone else. And then sometimes he brings people into your life to help you, to teach you, to help you to grow and to be better, you know?
I agree. And I said to Rob that my hope is that I left him better than I found him.
Oh, you absolutely did. No doubt about that.
So that is my hope. I don't want to think of his life that was strife or whatever. Like, I think you should come into people's life leaving them better than you found them. And I
Absolutely.
think he definitely left me better than he found me. I've learned
Mm-hmm.
so many amazing lessons. Again, the love I had for him and the love we had for each other was so pure. And again, it's just, life got in the way. Life was lifing, as someone said on Kendra D the other day. Life was lifing. And so we had to we had to put our love to the side and do what was best for, I think, us as individuals instead of us as a. I saw that question. I saw that.
Okay, let me see. Let's go back here. There was a question about how are you healing, or what are you doing to heal? Let's see if I can find it.
That's a good question.
Yes. Okay, oh yes, what your next step in your healing process? That's what it says.
I think one of the things that Rob and I decided to do is to try to cease communication. As Rob was my best friend, right? I shared everything with that man. when I got my new job, I didn't even open the email until he was on the phone so that he could have that moment with me.
Right.
Being able to read the offer, you know, and everything that it entailed. Like I ran decisions by him because, you know, he and I have very different ways of thinking, and I always wanted to hear his perspective because sometimes I was missing stuff. And again, he's very smart. And so today was hard, right? Today was difficult because I'm on this new journey. And funny, I'm looking at my work laptop over there and just everything that has gone on today, and I couldn't call him, right? And I'm sure I could have, but I didn't.
But yeah,
in that way.
Yeah, when you break up,
Yeah.
you know, you need a clean break in order to heal.
And so I think that's definitely part of it. As hard as that is that there's gotta be that clean break, because the next person who is intentional with me deserves all of me. And he'll never have all of me as long as Robert has piece of me.
That's right.
And if right, and Robert's never going to just have piece of me. Robert's going to have all of me. So he's either has all of me or nothing. And I'm not saying that we are never going to speak again. That would be crazy. We shared some good life together, but I think until we're both in a space where this isn't so fresh. And again, there was no, to speak here, there was no yelling, there was no cussing. We had a very mature, you know, my best friend cried when she heard the text messages. She was like, this is the most mature breakup I've ever been a part of. And that's what makes it so sad, because you guys have so much love and admiration and respect for each other. Like, most people break up because there's cheating and just all of these crazy things, but there's none of that. These are two people who love each other, who realize, like, you know, we are definitely right now better apart. And so I've got to make that very clean break. So that's definitely part of my healing. I've just got to refocus my energy into the things that I want to accomplish. I know writing my next book is going to be healing. It's going to go through, you know, the four major men in my life in terms of men who had my heart, which was my father, my daughter's father, my ex-husband, and now Rob, and taking on that journey and the lessons that I've learned, and taking accountability for clearly my part in all of this as we go along. I think lessons that women need to learn, and how to correctly date after 40, right? Like it's thing.
Completely
It's
different.
very different, right? Because I had so much life experience, and a lot of men like to say baggage. And so, you know, really how to date with an open heart, how to love with an open heart, knowing that opening your heart might mean that it breaks, but you'll never truly feel love unless you open your heart, right? Like, I could never experience this journey with Rob if I had a closed heart. I needed to be open, and I was completely open. Like I said, my heart has only grown bigger. It hasn't shrunk, right? Like, the next man who, God, I pray, is the final one, dear Jesus and dead daddy.
Yes, that's what we all
like,
pray for.
He'll get even more of that instead of less, right? You know, tidying up any aspects of my life that I might think that needs to be tidied up, right? Like, just getting myself whole and complete, so that I'm fully ready for the next person. Like I said, they're not living in Robert's shadow, which would be very difficult.
So then, okay, is there anything, like, for me, like, when I look back at my previous relationship, right? I look back and I think this relationship made me realize how XYZ is so important to me, and I didn't know before. So is there anything when you look back at your relationship that, you know, it made you realize, oh, I really need to have this, you know what I mean? And, you know, you didn't know that before?
Rob said it to me. Rob actually brought it up. He said, you actually need a man who can make you number one. And I can't, because I need to be a number one dad. And as much as I saw that I never realized how the way he saw it.
Right.
I'm a daddy's girl, you know, rest in peace, daddy, right? And even though my dad had 7 of us, I always felt like I was the most important one, right? Like my dad had a way of making us, maybe it was just me, but really making me feel like I was just important and amazing. And I've had wonderful men in my life who have made me feel that way. And it's difficult when you have to share that with a man who's in the crux of raising children, right? Like my daughter, as much as I love her, she's grown. Like she's got her own life, right? Me dating me with a 12-year-old is not the same of dating me with a 21, almost 22-year-old. My daughter's gonna be 22 this year. I'm in a very different headspace, and I also need a man who's in that same headspace, who's got those same plans, who's, you know, again, not in the crux of raising children and all those different things that are going on. And we can focus on the journey that we're both taking, not thinking about our children and who's going to soccer and like, and so, you know, people might think it sounds selfish, but even Rob saw it. He was like, this is what you're used to. This is what you need. And it was unfair of you that I couldn't do that for you. And I don't know when I will be able to do that. And I'm not going to bring you into a marriage where I can't do that for you. So I think him saying that, I realized that I do need to feel as if I am on the top of your priority list, right? You know, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing, and I'm a damn good thing. And so, yeah, I think that was the biggest one that I think Rob pointed it out for me.
Yes. So do you want to share the list that you have, or?
Oh God! You know what? The list is.
You shared some of it with me.
Good. Let me actually go get my list. Let me go. I think there might have been another question, but.
Oh yeah. Let me look. So we have one viewer. Oh gosh, I need my glasses, but
Girl, get your back.
It's from elementnotes.ca. It sounds like you did what you both needed to do within your relationship. Many times, people who are not experiencing what you are have opinions on how to navigate the situation. And that's true. That's a good point.
That is so true. We had to put our individual needs above our collective need. Our collective need was to stay together and to stay committed. But individually, we needed other things, which got in the way of trying to stay on that collective path.
And then, hold on, Makanen.sanko. Okay, they say, Toshiba, when is your new book coming out? I'm interested in having you back on my author's book show.
Awesome. Next summer. That's the plan. I'll keep you in the loop, but next summer, I've outlined it. It's funny enough, I had started writing that book. I've rewritten it. Like there was so many direction that book took, and now that I am in the space that I'm in, I think it will be it will be a much better book, interestingly enough. So next summer, right now, the tentative title is Fuck Your Feelings, The Journey to Imperfect Love. And love can also be finding ourselves, ladies, right? It's not just finding the love for ourselves and what that looked like, and even what the loves that you've had, what it's taught you. Like love is not supposed to be a negative thing, right? Like it's not supposed to put you in a space where like, I will never do this again, right? It's pure, it's genuine, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many amazing things about love, and as heavy as my heart is, I would rather have loved him than not have loved him.
That's right.
And like I said, to be able to take it, my heart is bigger now, right? There's space for someone else, because like I said, even with my daughter, I love my daughter to pieces, but she's living her own life. So there's extra space there because I'm not having to, hover over a child, right? So there's more space. And like I said, the way I love Rob was so pure that, the next man, it might be stifling. So what's the other question?
Uh, okay, if he changes his mind and comes back fighting for you, what would you do?
My heart would want to get back together. My head knows that it will not work, because those women are not going to change and his children are not going anywhere. And that needs to be his focus. Again, Robert's children, his oldest is 13 and his youngest is, God, I always forget the age of those children, 4 or 5. That's another 14 to 18 years of raising children at 43 that I'm just not prepared for. And again, like I said, you don't negotiate with terrorists. And I mean, those women could change, but I'm not sitting around waiting for other people to change. So I love him, but I can't separate him from all of that. And I have no intention of experiencing that again.
And the next question is from Goldie Mine 10. Would you discontinue the show if you met someone special who was not into social media?
Yes. As hard as that would be, because I think this is healing for me, and I thank you all who are actually taking time out of your evening to watch this, because often we have these life-changing things that happen and we generally don't share them. So being able to share this is actually a bit of a release, especially because, again, there's actually so many exciting things happening in my life. But if I had a partner who, especially because this show started with Rob, and it's going to take me a while before I take off the content of Rob and I, right? And so I can imagine if someone comes into my life and I just have not taken off that content and they're constantly having a reminder of Rob, and they said, what I think, redesign it, whatever. It would be difficult for me to come completely off of social media, just because like I part of my plan is to create kind of a media platform for Black people to be able to share their stories with their voices. That's actually really important for me. So my hope would be that the next person I have is open to doing the show, and opening to talking about, finding each other and what that looks like and whatever. But if he was completely against it, yeah, that's probably something I would need to at least highly consider.
So the next question is from elementalnotes.ca. What if that man has more than one baby mother, but his kids are now adults?
Possibly. My initial thing is no, but I would say possibly. Grown children are very different, but I also look at the relationship between that man and these women, and what kind of relationship I can have with them. I'm not expecting us to kumbaya around a campfire, but I think that as grown women, having a conversation is important. Having a collective understanding. Grown children or not, they still play a part. Yes. Relationships, there are going to be marriages and babies and, all of the things that happen in family functions, and me and their daddy getting married. Like, there are going to be a ton of things that happen even with grown children, with my grown child, right? Like, she's going to be still very much involved in a relationship and still a part of it. And so if the relationship with the mothers, and it would be no more than 2, was a healthy one, and one where I could see us all sitting down, and preferably they would also be remarried or in committed relationships, And we can sit down all as couples and discuss that. Because again, there could be graduations. Like there's all of these events that
Something.
happen in adult
Yeah.
children's lives that I
Mm-hmm.
still want to make sure that there are no issues. It can't be like, oh, you're with her and you can't come to the graduation. Like, we're not doing that. Like, because there's no part of my situations like that, right? Like, you know, the first thing my daughter's father said to me when I moved back is, "Are you guys okay?" Right? Like he, you know, anytime he would speak to me, he would hail them up and be like, "Tell him I said hi."
Right.
Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they've had, you know, a conversation. They were good, right? There was no
Mm-hmm.
drama, and that's to
Mm-hmm.
me how things should be. So I would
Absolutely.
consider it, but it would be depending on the relationship that he has with the women and how those women view him and our relationships. I am way too old to be doing drama. I need my peace. I need peace,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I desire it. I'm not doing this again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see if there's any other questions. No.
Thanks for the questions and hanging in there with us. This is
Yes.
very helpful.
Yes. Yeah. No more questions. Or questions. That's about it. But you know, as I said, I think you've handled yourself very well. And I know that, you know, better is around the corner. And God makes no mistakes. So.
I agree. And
Mhm.
listen, I hope Rob comes out of his new season healthier and stronger.
Mhm.
I hope the next person he gets with gets the benefit of the love he showed me,
Mhm.
because it's an amazing love. Um, it wasn't for me, but again, like I said, I hope I left him better than I found him, and I
Mhm.
hope the next woman, whomever she may be, will benefit from this relationship um, that we've had, and that she'll get to experience the best sides of him, because he truly is amazing. He just unfortunately um, not my husband.
Mhm.
But he will be somebody's if he's open to marriage again
Mhm. Mhm.
one day. And I wish him nothing. Like I honestly wish him nothing but happiness and healthiness. And I hope he builds an amazing relationship with his children, and is the best father he can be, because those children
Mhm.
deserve it.
Mhm.
Um, and
Absolutely.
as it comes from me, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. I don't want to be single.
Mhm.
Let me just start there. I
Yeah.
want to be single, but clearly the universe felt I needed to be single.
Mhm.
I am going to walk this journey. I'm trying to navigate new spaces, new places. You know, maybe this was the season I was supposed to find my husband. I don't know. Um, I'm open, but at the same time, I'm not that open.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, for the show, I'll be doing this more regularly. Just so people know, Cass and I will probably be doing more of this. I am going to be, again, giving you insight into my life, dating after 40. And Cass, you did ask me for the list. So before I go,
Yes. Yes.
so before I go,
Mhm.
this is, and I don't know if she's still on here, but my girl
See?
Sorlin Sage, she still might be on here. No, she's not. But my girl Sorlin Sage had helped me create this list as I was thinking about my next phase and how I wanted to be intentional. So here is my list moving forward. And ladies who are single, I would suggest you make your own list and put it in a
Mhm.
spreadsheet and compare the men that you're dating to see how they measure up. It's going to be like a scoring system. So I have, they will be well traveled with a valid passport, because Canadian passports are 10 years, people. And mine,
Americans don't have a passport.
uh,
It's usually Americans. It's usually Americans that don't
yeah,
have a
they don't
passport.
have passports. So,
Mhm.
okay, so well traveled with a valid passport. Open to new things. No vices, no smokers. I don't even want weed. Not a big drinker. He's a connoisseur of fine things. So he's a man who knows a good Cuban cigar, who knows a good whiskey, who likes to go to like art galleries and events like that. He's older and mature. I probably will date men 10 plus years older than me. So older, mature with salt and pepper. He's very well dressed. He's athletic and open to new forms of fitness because I'm in the gym all the time. I hike, like I run, I do a ton of things. I want to do those things with my partner. I am like light skin Keisha, my man, right? Right? Like, I'm the woman who's to be like my man.
Mm-hmm.
So I want a man who does not mind the fact that I'm going to be my manning him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a take charge attitude. He'll do things for me without being asked just because he sees that I need them.
Mm-hmm.
He's complimentary. He has a presence about him so that when he walks into a room, people notice.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like to disappoint me. That's the daddy's girl in me and the spoiled brat.
Yeah.
He is divorced or widowed. I will not date a man who's never been married unless he's been in a long-term cohabitation situation.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is never been married, he would have at least have to live with someone for 2+ more years, and he actually enjoyed that process, but he's also committed to the idea of he knows that he wants to be married. Like, I'm not trying to throw someone down the aisle. I want someone who's intentional about finding a wife. His ex-wife is preferably remarried with a career. They're amicable. I actually would like the family that kind of gets together for family events, and everyone kind of knows what's going on. There's introductions done, all of that stuff, because it's a mature adult way to live. Older kids or boys. Dating a man with a daughter is very difficult. Let me just, I will take. So to answer the other question, if the kids are a little bit younger, if they're boys, and not that young, like young to me is like 16. I would prefer to date a man who has boys. I know it's, again, the more precise this list gets, like the smaller who I have. But I've had this experience, and I will never date a man again who I just can't. No mother wounds. He has to have a healthy, balanced relationship with his parents, particularly his mother. It's funny how there's so much conversation around young women who don't grow up with fathers, and we don't have the conversation about men who grew up with unhealthy relationships with their mothers, right? Because a father is a little girl's first love, a mother is a little boy's first love, and they shape their minds about relationships. And I think, as again, there's so much focus on the fathers were there, but sometimes, ladies, some of the mothers are trash, and so the men end up emulating how they saw the relationship with their mother. And so I would want to make sure, like, I had a very healthy relationship with my father up until the moment he died. I loved my father with my whole heart. One of the questions I had told men on our show to ask is a woman of, name 5 men in your life that that you admire. What is your relationship with men? What is your views on men? I'm going to start asking men the same thing, right? Like, tell me about the women in your life. Tell me, because again, we don't realize how those relationships in the beginning truly shape who people are. And mothers have a huge impact in a boy's and a girl's life. And if you've got a strained relationship with your mother, there's issues.
Yeah, but I just want to add, like, you can't help, obviously, how you came into the world or how you grew up. But I think the more important thing is healing.
Amen.
Have you healed from whatever,
Amen.
you've gone
Amen.
through? Because I've got childhood trauma, but I've healed from
Amen.
it, right? So
Therapy is good. I didn't put it
yeah.
on the list, but definitely a man who has gone through therapy is open to therapy,
Mhm.
because that's so important. I think we all can use therapy and we totally forget. And for me, therapy isn't just when things are going wrong. I think therapy can also give you the tools you need so that you don't mismanage your current relationship,
Mhm.
right?
That's right.
You know, what worked in one relationship isn't going to work
That's right.
in another. You know,
Mhm.
what works raising one child is not the same way you can raise another
That's right.
child, right?
That's
And
right.
I've experienced that, right? Like, I have the tools to raise my daughter. I did not have the tools to help Rob raise his. Just different toolkit. And I think we have to be open and honest about, okay, how do we make sure that we have the right tools to deal with this situation? So I think that's important. So I agree with you. Healing and therapy
Mhm.
is important. I don't, my mother and I don't always see eye to eye, but I don't use that as an excuse of anything. It's just we have a very different ways of seeing things, but I also have a very mature and different outlook about, I can't blame anybody else for my stuff, right? There's a certain point where my decisions are entirely mine.
That's right.
And it's important for me to rewire
Mhm.
my mind. But again, people have to even recognize that those things are issues, and
Mhm.
some of us don't recognize that. So the last couple of things on my list is that they have to be cultural, refined, and intellectual. Um, they have to be ambitious and self-motivated. That is so important.
Mhm.
And someone who accepts me for who I am, because I can be a lot. So, um, and again, I think men should also date with a list, right? Like, the
Mhm.
premise of fuck your feelings doesn't end.
That's
This
right.
is me completely fucking my feelings. And as if there's any men on here, y'all realize I didn't have height, I didn't have looks, I didn't have any of this on the list, right? Like, again, I just ended a relationship with a man who's 6'9" with size 15 feet, who's handsome as
Mhm.
hell. And that didn't work.
Yeah.
So physical attraction is important, but intentionality for me is going to be even more important, and a life plan and where you want to go and do our life plans align, because I desire peace in my life, and I hope he desires the same, and we can come together and
Mhm.
have as peaceful as a life as we can have. It's one thing when the outside world um, is, you got to deal with that stuff, but when you come into these walls, it should
Mhm.
be peaceful. And unfortunately, when we have family members who are the ones who are disrupting the peace, um, that's just a very difficult place to be in. So a man who desires peace, because I desire this. Yes, I'm going to be putting this live on so people can see this, and I will clearly be breaking down the clips. We'll be back at it. I'm still trying to figure out how often I'm going to be going live. I'm definitely going to be going live to update people. Again, Cass and I will probably do a lot of the lives. I think it's just more interesting when there
Mhm.
are two people. Like I said, I'll be bringing you into my dating life. Again, you probably won't see the men, and it probably won't be dating for a while, people.
Yeah.
It gonna be a little bit. It's gonna be
Mhm.
some months or so. Even
Mhm.
though my brother is like, well, if somebody asks you for a date, you should probably go. I don't need a free meal. I know how to cook. Um, so, like, I cook quite well. So I'm not the woman who needs to go out for free meals. I'm not gonna go out with anybody if I don't think that there's any potential intentions there, because men are going to give me attention. I'm an attractive woman. I don't deny that, but are they going to be intentional with me? And I think, again, Rob started out this being very intentional with me. Just life was lifing, and so
Mhm.
we didn't make it down the aisle, but he was very intentional about that, and so
Mhm.
I'm keeping my legs closed. I don't need no more soul ties,
Mhm.
because I'm out here being intentional, and it's funny. Some people feel like, yeah, what's the best way to get over someone, to get on top of a new one? I'm good. Um,
Yeah, that
it does
doesn't work for
not
me.
work. It's no thank you. It's already been proposed to me,
Mhm.
and I had to, because I'm just not, I'm not interested in any of that, because I think that just complicates things. And
Mhm.
I'm not having sex with someone when my heart still belongs to someone else. And I don't know how long my heart is going to be with Robert. And until my heart tells me, okay, girl, we're good, and we have space for someone else, it doesn't matter what my head says. My head and my heart just have not aligned yet. And I don't know when that's going to be. But when that is, then I will be open um, to meeting people and seeing how that goes. My brother has jokingly said that he's going to start looking for someone and vetting them before he sends them. He's got my list. My brother says he will vet all the men because he's very protective of me, and he'll start vetting men to determine if they're good enough for a sister. But
Mhm.
my heart's not there yet, and so I want it's a new season. It's a season for healing. It's a helping men and women in any way that I can, opening up my life. That's kind of where I am. So I'm excited, but my heart needs a second. My heart needs a
Mhm.
second, and that's it. Any fun?
And you'll be fine.
You know what I will be.
Mhm.
This is hard. Not having my best friend
Yeah.
is hard. Again, we we went we went from strangers to being in a relationship in 10 days and 96 days to cohabitation. We spent and breathed each other's air for over 2 years, right? Like we had an all-consuming relationship. So,
Mhm.
again, there's a part of me that's just like, oh my God. But again, like I said, my head knows this has got to be,
Mhm.
and especially for him, he needs to be able to focus on the things that are gonna make him a better person. And if his choice to um, be a number one dad means that I lose him, then I'm fine with that
Mhm.
because his children deserve him to be a number one dad. So, and that's that.
Mhm.
Um, so I just know that somebody said it's also important to attract someone who's committed to inner growth. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. That is
Absolutely.
that is I'm gonna put that on my list, girl. That is
Mhm.
that is important because there's
It is.
constant change. Rob and I were together for almost 3 years, and I've changed tremendously.
Mhm.
And we've grown, and we've again, like I said, he left me better than he found me, and I can't speak for him, but I certainly think I left him better than I found him.
Yeah.
And that's always the goal, right? Like is
Mhm.
growing and evolving and all of that stuff. And if you're gonna go into someone's life, people, that should be your intent. It shouldn't be
Mhm.
drama and strife, and you know what I'm saying? Like all of that stuff.
Mhm.
If you cannot, and this is for men and women, if you cannot be committed to leaving someone better than you found them, stay the fuck out of their life.
Mhm.
Seriously, just stay away from them,
Mhm.
because it doesn't make any sense. And I think for Rob and I, we wanted to make sure that we ended as respectfully as we started, without going down. You know what I'm saying? Because there's again, it's
Mhm.
only so much a relationship can take. It's not even the people. There's only so much a relationship can take, and I think our relationship took as much as it could. Um, Before it started to implode and we started doing this, and we did not want to do that. Like the no disrespect rule that we had in our relationship was down to the very end of the relationship. That never changed. He did not disrespect me, but unfortunately, the people in his life did. And that's the issue. But our respect was always the same. And I just think we have to be, especially at our big age, right? Like we're big
That's right.
people.
Mhm.
So dating in your 40s, going into someone's life with drama and strife, please leave that person alone. Like,
Mhm.
please, like, it doesn't matter how fine you think he or she is, like, or oh, the sex is great. If you know that all you're gonna bring that person life is strife,
Mhm.
no. If you don't have intentions of again of adding value to their life, leave them alone. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's not worth it. And I hope the person that comes into my life, if you think I can't add value, and I think that we can part, because it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make sense. We're just too old, seriously, to be
Yes.
dealing with any of that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So that's it, everybody. Cass, do you have any final questions? Thank you, by the way, for this.
That's it. Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Yes. Thank you everyone for joining. Again, I will be putting clips of this out, and I will be letting you know what the schedule will be. I hope all of you will actually join me on this journey. It's part of my healing, believe it or not. I could be in the room crying about this, but instead I decided, just like I wrote in my books, to tell this story, hoping that it will help even just one person open up themselves to love. I am not closed from love. This is not a terrible ending. This isn't, you know what I'm saying?
It's
This
just
isn't a story.
growth.
Actually a happy, this is actually a happy story. This is actually showing you a healthy way of how to make a decision, as hard as it is, to love somebody enough to let them free
Mm-hmm.
and go and share. So you're going to be seeing more of it. Like I said, seeing more of my life in Toronto, hearing more about this single journey. Lord of mercy. I don't know. I don't know about these streets. Help me, people, because I'm gonna need help. I've been tied up with this man for almost 3 years. I don't even know what's going on in these streets. So you might hear some crazy stories, but like, help me navigate these single streets, because Lord, I don't think I'm ready. So that is it. Thank you all, Russ. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the love and support. Keep following, keep watching. There's going to be amazing things on the way. Cass, love you. I
Love
appreciate
you
you
too.
hearing this. And now it's time for me to go prepare for the bed.
Yep.
I've been up since
Good
6.
night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.